Hey everybody, Papa Wiggs here with Wiggs. It's good to be back, Wiggs. We're gonna do our week 8 matchups here for all the games coming up. So let's jump right into it. First game is Green Bay versus the Jags. It is in Jacksonville. We both picked Green Bay. Uh, Wiggs. This one, you know, I really don't think it's going to be close unless Jacksonville defense can step up to the plate and play a lot better than they have been. I think Green Bay keeps getting better and better every week. I think the key for Jacksonville is that Bigsby's got to have a big game with ETN out. I think Dearness Johnson will have a big role in the passing game, don't you think, Wiggs? And I also think that Brian Thomas Jr. has to have a big game for him today, along with Ingram. So, and then on the flip side, Green Bay, I think Jordan Love's, he's back. Jacobs has definitely got to have a big game, which I think he will. I think Jacobs is going to shred this Jags defense, and and yeah. So, and then I think Jaden Reed and Tucker Kraft are going to have decent games as well. But I've got Green Bay winning this one by 2 scores, 24-10.
Yeah, I got Green Bay winning this like 24-7 or 28-17. I think they just clearly have the upper hand here. They have a better core receiving group of like three or four guys there, and then I think the better running back in the game is Josh Jacobs, but and their defense is way better than the Jacksonville defense. So I don't even think this will be a contest here for the Packers. I think they'll just come out here and take this 28-17. Um, Jacksonville, like you said, they have to get Tank Bigsby going, and then Ryan Thomas has to have a big game. And this is another game where I just see him popping off for a long touchdown and having an impact. I think it'll be early, and then I think it'll just kind of dwindle down because I think Lawrence just is not that great and will choke under the pressure.
Yeah. So and then so that takes us into our next game, the Cardinals versus the Dolphins. Listen, I still like the Cardinals. Their defense hasn't been playing, as as well as I thought they would be. The last couple weeks, but Tua's going to be back for the Dolphins, which is huge for all you Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle owners. With Tua back, I think this Miami Dolphins offense gets back on track. I know some people might think Tua is going to be slow out there. I don't think he is. I think they're going to come out guns a blazing in this game, and uh, they're going to be throwing the ball left and right. I really like Hill, Waddle, and Tua in this game. On the flip side, if the Cardinals want to have a shot at this, they got to figure out how to get their playmakers the ball. Harrison Jr. I mean, they've got Zay Jones now back. So, and then James Conner's got to be able to have a good game. Conner and Benson have to have good games here to keep the Dolphins offense off the field. But in the end, it's in Miami. I think the Dolphins are going to bounce back this week with Tua coming back. And I think it'll be something like, maybe 24 or 21.
Yeah, I don't think the Cardinals stand a chance in this game, to be honest. I know Tua's coming off an injury, but his connection with Waddle and Hill is just really good. I think A-Chan will have a pretty good game as well here on the ground for them, and I think it'll be a lot better now that they have Tua back because he'll get the ball to Tyreek and Waddle, and teams really haven't had to worry too much about either of them in the last few weeks because their quarterback play was really bad. So, um, for me, I think it'll be like a 24 to like 10 type game. I'm not sold on Harrison Jr. on the side of the Cardinals right now. I think him and Murray are just not on the same page, and he's only had like one really good week. Other than that, he's kind of just been a bust at receiver so far.
Yeah, they got to figure something out, though. I mean, so it'll be interesting. The next game, Jets versus New England. Uh, you know, we both picked the Jets here, Wigs. I think this game's going to be closer than people think. I think New England's starting to play a little bit better. I like what Drake May's doing, there. So I think he's going to keep getting better. for New England. Um, what I'm interested to see is, Ken Rogers and Devontae Adams get on the same page. If they do get on the same page, where does that leave Garrett Wilson? I believe Lazard's out this game, maybe. Um, I think he was doubtful and got moved to out, so I don't think Lazard's playing. So that'll help out both of those guys from a target perspective. Conklin's back, but again, for me, Brees Hall's got to have a big game here. And then if the Patriots want to have a shot, Stevenson's got to play really well. They got to keep Rodgers off the field. Drake can't make a lot of mistakes. He's gonna have to use Hunter Henry. I think their receivers are gonna struggle against Sauce Gardner in the backfield, the defensive backfield of the Jets. So he's gonna have to rely on his tight end and his running backs. But I don't, even though they're at home, I don't think that they're gonna be able to pull it off. I think the Jets will pull it off and get back on track. But I think it's gonna be closer than everybody thinks. I'm gonna say 17-10 on this one.
Yeah, I think this game will be closer because I think both these defenses aren't actually that bad. I think it'll probably be like a 21-17 here in favor of the Jets. Drake Mays actually looked pretty good and impressive. I don't understand still why they didn't start playing him sooner rather than putting him in a rut right away. But he's looked pretty good even with mediocre weapons so far. I think him and Douglas are gonna have a great connection here this year that I think will translate into other years. I don't think it'll start this week. I think it'll be like a next week type of thing. I mean, 2 weeks ago they had a pretty good connection. Last week Douglas was dealing with an illness, so maybe he comes out and has a good game. You never know. And then the Jets. I mean, you have two of the best receivers in the league. You just need to figure something out. You got the best running back in the league. A really nice running back too. Probably, a top running back too that they could utilize as well. So there's a lot of weapons there in the Jets. The fact that they have the losing record they have is really shocking to me, to be honest. So, um,
Yeah, and they got Hassan Reddick that's going to be playing, for them, which is huge. So yeah, it'll be interesting. And then the next game, Ravens versus the Browns. Listen, the Browns lost Watson. I believe
Winston.
Winston's starting today, and DTR is going to be his backup. Listen, Winston, when he doesn't throw interceptions, is definitely a decent option at a backup quarterback. Problem is that they traded away their big weapon in Cooper. They got Judy, but Judy hasn't, didn't really step in and do anything last week. They got some younger receivers that are trying to step up. I just think that they're hitting the Ravens at a really bad time. The Ravens are hot right now. I think Lamar and team are going to come out here and just decimate the Browns, even at home. I mean, and when I say decimate, I don't mean necessarily, they're going to beat them by a lot. I just think that they're going to control the game. They're going to, Henry's going to come out and run. I think Zay Flowers will probably, I think he's playing today. Will probably have a good game as well. So anyways, for me, I think, if the Browns defense can play like the Browns defense last year and come out and contain Lamar, that'll give them a shot. I just don't see it happening. I think the Ravens win this one, and it's probably going to be, like a 21-17 type game, and, a great division game.
Yeah, I don't think this game's gonna be close. Personally, I think this is gonna be like a 24-10 type game. I don't have any faith in this Browns like offense or defense in general. And I think the Ravens are just gonna come out and kind of smoke them.
All right. Next game, Eagles versus the Bengals. Big news coming out of Cincinnati. T. Higgins pulled a quad at practice. He's going to miss today's game against the Eagles. Huge loss. T. Higgins does not get nearly enough credit for the success that Jamar Chase has. When Higgins isn't out there, Chase struggles. And I think Chase is going to struggle in this game as well. I think the Eagles are going to come out. They're going to give the Bengals a heavy dose of Saquon. If the Bengals are able to contain Saquon, I think Hurts is going to throw it to Smith and Brown, and they're just going to shred this Bengals defense. This Bengals defense is not playing well. I don't think they're going to really hold this Eagles offense. The Eagles defense, I think, is going to do enough to contain Chase. I don't. They're obviously not going to stop him. And this is the matchup between the Brown brothers. Wiggs. I don't know if you saw the identical twins. You got Chase on the Bengals, and I forgot the name of his brother.
Sidney Brown is the safety for the Eagles.
Sidney Brown is the safety for the Eagles. So that's a little bit interesting thing to see how that plays out. I think if the Bengals have any kind of chance at all, they really need to get Chase going, though. I mean, if they can get Chase going, keep the Eagles' offense off the field, win the time of possession, not allow their defense to get really tired. Wiggs, we've talked about this before. If the defense keeps having to go back out there because you're going 3-and-out, I mean, and stuff. So if they can do that, they'll have a shot. I'm just not sold that they're going to be able to do it without Higgins. So to me, this one, I think this could be a high scoring game. So I'm going to go, 31-28.
Honestly, I kind of agree with that, scoreline. I'll give it 34, 31, just to be a little bit different. But I think this will be higher scoring. I think Chase Brown's actually gonna have a pretty good game here. I could see him having probably a good 60 yards and catching 1 or 2 touchdowns here, because with Higgins being out, he's probably going to be utilized quite a bit here in the passing game today. So it wouldn't surprise me if he popped off for a good 20-point game here against the Eagles. But yeah, I still have to get the upper hand of the Eagles. I mean, you got AJ Brown back and Devontae Smith. I just think the Eagles need to get Smith more involved. He did nothing last week. I think he had 0.4 fantasy points or something like that. So I think Hurts just needs to get him the ball, and then obviously you got to keep feeding the AJ Brown and Saquon in this offense.
Exactly. Next game, Colts versus the Texans. Another great division game here. The Colts have been a little surprising, Wiggs, to me. I mean, this year
They look like crap.
So, but they're still pulling out wins, which is
wild.
And the Texans, on the flip side of it, they're struggling a little bit. I think Nico Collins going down has hurt them more than they thought. But with that said, I think Mixon's going to go off in this game. I think their defense is going to step up. I think Richardson's going to make a few key mistakes in this game that's going to lead to some points off of turnovers. I'm still, as Wiggs has pointed out, I'm starting to agree a little bit more that the Richardson-Pittman connection just isn't there yet. I think is Taylor out again this week?
No, he's playing.
So Taylor's playing this week.
The week I play him in fantasy.
So, that's good for the Colts. We'll see how he does out there. Hopefully, to me, DeMarco Ryans is gonna have 8 guys in the box, and they're gonna make Richardson beat him and not Taylor. So it'll be interesting to me. But I just think Houston's at home. They're just gonna be too much for the Colts. I could see this one, being a 7-point game, and I'm gonna go 28-21. And the only way I see the Colts having a shot is if their defense steps up and Jonathan Taylor has a huge game.
Yeah, and honestly, Taylor could have a big game here, and I just don't think it'll be enough because Richardson just cannot get the ball to his receivers at all, in my opinion. He's a very mediocre quarterback. I don't know what it is. I mean, you're that hyped up last year as a quarterback, and really, I don't know. To me, he's a disappointment, and he's extremely injury prone. He's already shown that in 2 years, so I don't know. I just don't have any faith in the Colts whatsoever. And I think the Texans, even without Nico Collins, still have the upper hand. I just think they need to get Diggs more involved. I think having Mixon back has definitely helped the last 2 weeks because that dude is a freaking beast.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a big game. So that leads us into the next game here: Titans versus the Lions in Detroit. Um, Will Levis is out, so Mason Rudolph's getting the start. They traded away D Hop, so that means they got Ridley. I don't even know if Ridley's playing today. I think he is. Um, you know, um, so I don't know. The Titans are a mess. Their offense I thought was going to be a lot better. I think Pollard's going to struggle against this Lions defense. I think Rudolph's going to throw at least 2 interceptions. I think the running backs on Detroit, they're not going to have a massive game because I think Tennessee's defense has stepped up. So, but I think they're going to do enough to open it up for Goff, so that he can get the ball out to St. Brown and Laporta. So um, you know I just think that this offense for Detroit's going to be too much for the Titans defense, and I think the Titans defense is going to be out on the field a lot more than their offense, because their offense can't get anything going. If they want to have any kind of chance, Pollard's got to have a big game, and they got to maintain the time of possession here. I just don't see it happening in this one. I think the Lions are going to beat them by 2 scores. It's going to be, like 24-10. And here's an interesting fact um, going into this game: if the Lions win and the Packers win, or I'm sorry, if the Packers win and the Bears win, uh, that would put the Vikings in last place in the NFC North. Is that not crazy? So, anyways, Wiggs, what do you think on this game?
I think this is just obviously the Detroit Lions show. I think they're honestly going to tear up this Titans defense because Jared Goff has looked really good this last month. So it wouldn't surprise me if he went for another 3 touchdowns here, 250 plus yards. I mean, the dude's looked like a beast. You got two of the best running backs in the league. I honestly think they're going to tear up the Titans defense. I think this is going to be a 35 to like 17 win for them.
Yeah, so this leads us into our next game: Falcons versus the Buccaneers, another division game. Tampa Bay's at home. Listen, usually I'd say, you know what, I think Tampa Bay is going to get this one. No Godwin, no Evans. Who's going to step up, Wiggs? I don't know. I mean, you lost your two big ones. I think Bucky. I think Irving's playing. I think I saw. Um, and they do still have White. But I don't know. I think if uh, Baker Mayfield's going to have to rely on his running backs. Kate Otton's going to have a huge game. Otton, I think, is the key in this game for the Buccaneers. He's got to have a big game in order for them to even have a chance to win. I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't know how you overcome losing two of the top receivers in the league, and to come out to play an explosive Falcons offense that at any given point, just like the Buccaneers, could put up 40 points, even though it's against a tough defense. So, on the flip side, if the Falcons want to have a shot, they got to make sure they get Bijan going in this game. They got to have balance, and they obviously need to get both London and Mooney involved in this game. And to me, the key here is, what do they do with Pitts? Are they gonna keep riding that train and get him going? They have to. I think the key in this game is the two tight ends. Which team's tight end is going to have the bigger game? To me, whichever team's tight end has the bigger game in this is the team that's going to win. I think it's going to be, Pitts. I think Cousins is getting in the groove with them, and so I'm going with the Falcons on this. I think it's going to be like 17-13.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lower scoring game here. I just think the Bucks defense is actually really good this year, and I think they're going to kind of, bounce back from their tough game they had against the Falcons a month ago. So, um, I could see someone like Darnell Mooney being completely shut down. I could see Drake London having a mediocre game. I think really if the offense of the Falcons wants to succeed here today, they have to continue what they've been doing in the last few weeks, and that's getting Kyle Pitts the ball. You get him the ball, it just opens up people like Drake London. We've seen it the last 2 weeks how open London's been getting with Pitts getting the ball. So I think you need to keep feeding him the ball, and then London and maybe even Mooney will get open here in this game. Um, Obviously, keep doing what you're doing at running back. I mean, both your running backs are playing really good football right now, both Bijan and Algier. So, I mean, for the Falcons, you just got to do the right things and not look stupid on the field. And then for the Bucks, it's just kind of a rough spot. You lost your top two wide receivers. I think your main targets are going to be like, what is it, Trey Palmer and uh, Jalen McMillan. I mean, it's going to be rough there. And then you have Kate Otten. I think you have a veteran. Is it Sterling Shepard or? Yeah, you still have Shepard in that offense, and then you kind of just have to rely on White to be involved in your passing game quite a bit because as soon as those guys got hurt last week, or at least just Evans, Rashad White was heavily involved in that passing game.
Yeah, so that leads us into the next game, the Saints versus the Chargers. Boy, Wiggs, the Saints came out starting the season, guns a-blazing. Now they're having injuries and they can't get anything going. Teams are waking up and shutting down Kamara a little bit here. I don't think it's going to be any different here against the Chargers. At LA. I think that their defense is going to focus on Kamara, shut them down. They're going to struggle throwing the ball because they lost Shakir, and I don't know if Olave is going to be playing today or not. I think it's we just have to wait and see if he's active. But either way, I think they're going to struggle. I think Dobbins is going to have a big game here against this disappointing defense of the Saints right now. So I just think that Harbaugh's going to have these guys running the ball, and he's going to keep his defense fresh on the sideline, and they're just going to be too much for the Saints. I think this one's going to be a 20-10 game.
Yeah, I think this will probably be like a 24-13 type game here. I just think the Chargers, surprisingly, are the better team right now. I would not have said that going into the season. As long as they can get something going somewhat in the passing game, I think the Chargers will be perfectly fine.
And then the next game is the Bills versus the Seahawks. This was a tougher one for me, but ultimately, the Seahawks don't have DK Metcalf. He's going to be out. They think the Bills have been playing really well with what they've had. I think the addition of Cooper was a huge addition for their offense. I think now they've got really a legitimate three-headed monster there at receiver, and Shakir and Cooper and Coleman. You got one of the best tight ends in the league in Kincaid. Oh, and by the way, you got James Cook. So even though the Seahawks defense is pretty good, I think Josh Allen's going to will Buffalo to a win today on the road in tough Seattle because you got the 12th man there. But I think the Bills will still pull it out. On the flip side, I think the Seahawks are going to sorely miss DK. I think they're going to focus on trying to stop the run with Walker and make Geno throw the ball. I think Geno's going to, he's still got Lockett and JSN, but I just don't see them being able to overcome the loss of Metcalf. The only way they're going to have a chance is if Walker can turn around and have a big game and keep their defense fresh enough so that they can at least have a chance at trying to contain Josh Allen. I don't see it happening. I think this one's going to be 24-14. Bills win.
I think this is just, I don't know, this is a gut feeling for me. I just think the Seahawks come out and somehow pull off a win even without DK. I have a feeling this is one of those Bill games where they just, give up a game to an opposing team that they probably shouldn't give up the game to. I think Kenneth Walker is going to have a really good game here against the Bills. He's looked really good all year, outside of the few weeks he was hurt. But, I mean, that dude's a beast at running back. I think JSN and Lockett will step up pretty nicely here this week. I think Noah Fant will be pretty involved as well. So, for me, I think, honestly, this is probably going to be like a 24-21 type game. I think it's going to come down to a last-second field goal.
I don't disagree with you, Wiggs. It could go either way on this one, and Walker's definitely going to have a huge game if the Seahawks have a chance. Next game, the Bears versus the Commanders. Listen, I picked the Bears on the premise that Daniels wasn't going to play. Now there's a shot that Daniels is going to play. I'm still going to stick with the Bears on this one, even though they're on the road. Not because I think that Caleb Williams is better than Jan Daniels and stuff like that. I'm just a little nervous about, okay, how is that rib injury of Daniels gonna affect him in the pocket? How much pain is he really in? He only practiced one day this week, from what I just read, and that was on Friday. They really didn't say, all that he did in that practice. So they also haven't mentioned if he really is going to be officially playing. So we don't know, and we won't know until pregame warm-ups if Daniels is truly going to be making the start here in Washington. So with that said, and the fact that the Bears defense is playing the way they are, I'm going to give the edge to the Bears here. But Wiggs, to me, this is just like the game we just talked about. I think it could go either way. But I'm going to give the edge to the Bears just because of the Daniels here. I think the Bears will come out. I think I don't know that Caleb's going to light up the world, but I think Swift could have a decent game. And they definitely need DJ Moore to have a big game too. So if that happens, I think all the stars will align and Chicago pulls out a win. I don't know if this is going to be a hugely high-scoring game. I'll say 20 to 14.
Yeah, I think this will be like a 24-20 type game here. I'm banking on Daniels playing, and I think if Daniels does play, I think he's going to have a pretty good offensive game here today. I think, Caleb Williams will make a mistake or two here in this game against a defense that's really not that good. And when I say a mistake or two, I think he's going to throw an interception or two here in this game. Between the two quarterbacks, I just think Daniels is clearly the better quarterback, and he's doing it with, I'd say, less weapons than Williams is and a worse defense, and they have a better record. So for me, I kind of just have to give that edge to Daniels. And I don't know. I really like this Washington team over the Chicago team, obviously, divisional team, but I just really think Jaden Daniels is like the best quarterback of this draft, and he's looked really, really good.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't disagree with you there. And the unfortunate thing in this game, just one last thought, is that I hope that whoever wins this game, especially if it is Chicago, I hope that they're not pulling the comparisons out, knowing that Jaden Daniels is coming out there playing with a rib injury, because that's not fair to either one of these guys. But I will say this: if Jaden Daniels does come out there with a rib injury and leads Washington to a win, I think the debate's over.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. And leads us to the next game, the Chiefs versus the Raiders. Listen, the Raiders are a mess. I thought Antonio Pierce being their head coach was going to be a good thing. I don't know. Antonio seems to have lost kind of control of his team. They traded away Devontae Adams. They're getting Jacoby Myers back today. They don't have a quarterback that's stepping up and playing consistent. They don't have, Madison's, basically taken over the backfield from White. And yeah, he had a decent game last week, but, he'll do that. He'll have a decent game one week, and then 3 weeks in a row, he'll throw up duds. This is one of those weeks where I think Madison's going to throw up a dud. They got Bowers, which they're going to need. But this KC Chiefs defense has been playing unbelievable right now. D-Hop's going to make his, debut here with Kansas City. So that'll be interesting. Wouldn't surprise me if he gets a touchdown, because I could see them using him in the red zone, because Andy Reid likes to play with his new toys when he gets them in. And he always finds a way to, figure out how to bestly use them. That's why he's one of the greatest coaches ever. So it'll be interesting. I don't think Mahomes is going to have a huge game here because he's not going to need to. I think that Kareem Hunt's going to have a big game here for KC. So I think Mahomes is just going to have to manage the game, and he's not going to have to do too much. Not to mention that there's a huge rivalry between these two because of the stuff that was said earlier in the season, which isn't going to help. I think Crosby can be definitely a game disruptor, but I don't think he's going to be able to do enough to save this Raiders team against the Chiefs today. I think the Chiefs are going to beat them, and I think it's going to be like 24-10. And I'm being generous with that 10 points because I think the Raiders' offense is going to struggle.
I'll keep it brief. The Chiefs are gonna smoke them. It's gonna be like 31-7.
Okay. Next game, Panthers and Broncos. This one's interesting, Wiggs, because I think going into the season, I think if you were to ask people, who do you think would have the better record, the Panthers or the Broncos? I think a lot of people were thinking the Panthers would have been better right now, but the Broncos are playing really well. They're at home. Bryce Young is playing today, but he doesn't have I think Deontay's out today.
Yeah, he is.
So Deontay's out, so he's not going to have any targets. Hubbard's going to have a huge game here against a really tough Broncos defense. I mean, really, you're going to bring Bryce Young back in against the Broncos defense? I don't understand what these coaches are thinking. I would have just ran with Andy Dalton in this game and gave Young a chance to play next week. To Wiggs' point on the last game, I kind of think this one's going to be a bloodbath. I think this Broncos defense is gonna have a big game. I think Javonte Williams is gonna come out and have another good game. Bo Nix is gonna do what he needs to do to lead these guys down the field and have a decent game. So to me, I think this one is gonna be at least 24-7 with the Broncos on top.
Yeah. I don't understand coaching in this league sometimes. I mean, you got the Patriots with Drake May. The freaking Panthers with Bryce Young. What's the point in starting them against one of the best defenses in the league? I don't understand it. Y'all are clowns. That's all I'm going to say. You should have just left Dalton in there because you don't really have any weapons. You have no ETA on when Brooks is going to be back. I mean, you're going to literally have to rely on Leggett and another player. But other than that, that's all I got to say about this game. I think the Broncos are going to blow them out. And then heading into the next game, I flipped mine and my dad's predictions. So.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, I was looking at that. I didn't notice that before.
Yeah, I just noticed it now. So.
Yeah. Yeah, so with that said, Wiggs is taking the Cowboys. I'm taking the 49ers. Listen, I can't pick the Cowboys. I just, they're a mess. They can't get anything going with their running game. I think Wiggs is going to probably come out here and say that Dalvin Cook's going to come out and have a huge game, and he's gonna win it for the Cowboys because they make Dalvin Cook active for this game. And I love Dalvin Cook. I don't think it's going to happen. San Francisco's at home. The 49ers are going to come out, and I think even though they lost Ayuk and stuff, I think that they're going to come out. I could see Jordan Mason having a big game here. And I think Purdy's going to have a decent game. I think their defense is going to step up, in this one. And I just think they're going to be too much for the Cowboys. And they're going to win 24-17.
I think the Cowboys honestly actually have the upper hand here in this game, at least from the offense. I just think that Dak and CD are going to have a good game here. I just don't got a whole lot of faith right now in the 49ers after losing Ayuk because you're really going to have to rely on just Debo, really. I mean, you got Kittle still, but I don't know. I just got a bad feeling here in this game for the 49ers, and it kind of just sways me towards the Cowboys. I don't think Dalvin Cook's going to pop off by all means. I think he's going to have a decent game. He's going to be stepping into that RB2 spot if they're smart. And I think he'll probably, do decent. I don't think he's going to go crazy. Maybe like 40 yards rushing. They might use him in the red zone just because he's a big body. And we all know how Dalvin Cook runs the ball in the red zone. So at any given point, he could go for a touchdown in this game too. As long as they utilize him the way they should, which is RB2 right now because their other guys behind Dowdle haven't done anything. Zeke hasn't done anything. Their other running back hasn't done anything. So I think you have to put Dalvin Cook in that RB2 spot.
Yeah, I think the key on this game is whichever defense has the best game, that's the team that's going to win. I think that the Cowboys have too many injuries on defense to overcome. That's why I picked the 49ers in this game. I think their defense will do enough to at least contain CD where he doesn't have a monster game. But I think the Cowboys defense are suspect right now. They got a whole bunch of injuries. So whichever defense plays the best in this game, that's the team that's going to win. And that leads us into Monday Night Football. You got the Giants at the Steelers. Listen, we both picked the Steelers in this one. You know what? I like the Giants. I like the talent they got on their team. I just think that the Steelers defense is going to be too tough for Daniel Jones here. The Steelers are going to be at home. I think Jones is going to make some big mistakes in this game that's going to cost the Giants. And I think Neighbors is getting a little bit more frustrated. The Giants need to figure out something at quarterback if they want to have it. They got talent at their positions. They got a nice young running back that they drafted to complement Singletary. They got Neighbors, Wendell Robinson, Slayton. So they got a good receiving core. They got a good young tight end and Theo Johnson. So they've got the weapons on offense. They just need to figure out consistency at quarterback play. If they do that, they're gonna, because of their defense, they're gonna be in a lot of these games. I just don't think it's gonna happen today. On the flip side, I think Russ Wilson's going to come out. Apparently Fields got hurt. There's a chance that Fields is not even going to be active for this game tomorrow. But Russell Wilson was going to start anyways. So I think Wilson is getting that chemistry with Pickens, which is going to be good for the Steelers. I think their running backs, I think Warren and Harris are going to do just enough to allow Wilson to use the play action. I see a lot of deep shots in this game, and I think Pickens and Wilson are going to hit on a couple of them, which is going to make it be difference makers in the game. I don't know that this will be crazy high scoring because of the defenses, but I still think it'll be like a 2017 game and the Steelers win.
Here's all I'm going to say. I agree with you. The Giants need to replace their quarterback. Why not go out for someone like Justin Fields or Sam Howell and just give them the damn ball? I just don't get why you're sticking with Daniels. I get they paid him all this money. Stupidly, you're an idiot for that. But it's to a point where he hasn't shown enough, and you need to replace him. And you're just gonna have to eat that money because you made a mistake, and that's the reality of it. As much as you won't own it because you won't bench him, that's the reality. You made a mistake extending him. Go out and get yourself a backup quarterback from another team because I guarantee you someone like Fields or Sam Howell could be playing better than Daniel Jones right
now. I don't disagree with you there. It'll be interesting. Maybe they make a move at the before the deadline,
or even Joe Flacco, like something.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting. So, well, before we wrap it up here, Wiggs, who's gonna have the best game receiving wise this week?
Receiving AJ Brown, easy.
You think AJ Brown's gonna have the biggest game? Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna go with. No, I'm gonna go with a little surprise here. Well, yeah, Tyreek I think could have a good game. I'm gonna say Brian Thomas Jr. That's my prediction. I think that he's gonna light up Jaron Alexander and those guys, and have a big game. Not a big enough game to, lead him to a win, but I think he could light it up. Who do you think is going to be a disappointment at receiver this week that people are going to think are going in thinking they're going to have a big game, but they don't?
Let's screw it. Drake London.
Drake London, yeah. I'm going to say Devontae Adams. I'm going to say, and the only reason I say that is that I still am not convinced they're on the same page yet, and I think that this Patriots defense is gonna focus on Devontae, and I can honestly say that I think Garrett Wilson will have a bigger game than Devontae in this one, and Rodgers and Adams are still gonna um, need another week to get that chemistry where it needs to be. I could be wrong. Maybe Adams comes out and explodes, but that's my hot take for this week. So, all right. Well, with that, check us out, Fantasy Fools PPR. We're on Snapchat, X, TikTok, Instagram. So if you got any questions, lineup questions, or comments, feel free. We look forward to hearing from you, and we hope you guys are finding this useful. And until next time, we'll see you soon.